Well, I was bad. I'll grant you that, because we had agreed that, we were gonna celebrate our 16th wedding anniversary.
Sure.
But we thought we'd do it after we saw you, so that way I have a whole week to fix whatever it was I did. And I even refused to record it, but then this morning I said, okay, I'll sit down and I'll figure it out. And I was surprised that I was still within the calorie range, even though there was like 3 items on there that I shouldn't have had. So I was like, well, I guess that wasn't as bad as I thought. And I did go up, a couple pounds. And it's like losing an ounce a day since then. It's just like going down a little bit at a time. But then, yesterday I got really sick, not feeling very well. And I thought it was just me, because I go through that every now and then. But then Gabby comes out, and she's in the bathroom just as much as I am, and she's throwing up. I feel like throwing up, but I'm not. And it was just yucky day. And then he can tell you I got up this morning not feeling all that great, and I ended up taking a painkiller before we came in. So it's just one of those, I'm tired of it. I just want to move forward type of thing.
Well, it's ironic that the scale tends to stabilize when people experience stress. And I think mainly because of 2 big things. 1, stress can induce constipation. Second thing, 2, stress induces distraction. Right? And what I mean by that is typically most people will eat out of distraction. They will eat, and it helps them relieve their mind of the current distraction or the current stressor. So it helps give them a kind of a temporary reprieve or relief. That's one thing they don't have to think about at that point in time. The second thing too is if they are thinking about it, they're eating and not thinking about what they're eating. So they're not aware of how much they're eating, what they're eating, and so forth. It's a very, very common problem, right? And I know you're logging, but I've been doing this long enough to know that when people encounter stressors, weight flatlines. So it's got to be one of those 2 things that's resulting in it, because there's no reason for you to stop losing when we measured, right? Metabolically, we know that you're able to lose, right? It has to be these other peripheral things that are causing you to not lose, right? And obviously, when you're stressed, it wears down your immune system. And when you wear down your immune system, then you're more likely to get sick. So that's why I think that there's a lot of peripheral distractions going on that's keeping you, I don't want to say it's preventing, but it's not helping your cause. Right? Because you've been able to lose weight up to this point, so we know you can lose weight. So I think this is the first time I've actually encountered you where you've got this much stress going on at one time. So that's when we tend to see people regain the weight, is because of the life-altering stressful events that one's experiencing in their life at that point in time.
Yeah, and I'm trying really hard not to let that happen.
Sure.
I feel like it's like our family curse. We have the family curse. It's like, every now and then the toilet just kind of not working right. Ours just blows up. It's just like when it happens to us, it's like everything at one time, and there's no reprieve, no rest period, no anything, and of course I had to look at my records and realize I hadn't worked out at all during the month of June, which is more than likely a big contributor. And so once I realized that, I started going back to making sure I get my walks in and making sure I went to the gym.
Right.
And today's a gym day, so we'll be doing that today, hopefully.
So really, from a standpoint, that's what like you just brought up, right? With the exercise, the stress, right? All these kind of things. This is why people regain the weight. It's not so much because people always like to default to other reasons to why people can't lose weight, or the program just didn't work for them. It's not that the programs don't work for them, it's the life-changing events that occur in their life that get them out of the normal routine, such as exercise, right, and doing some of the other things that you need to be doing, focused on you. That's what leads to people regaining the weight. And then over a period of time, even at the first month, they either gain a little bit of weight and they accept, okay, I've gained a little bit of weight, or they avoid the scale knowing they can't exercise, knowing their diet's not been good, so they avoid the scale because they don't want to see the information. And then when they do see the information, then it becomes catastrophic, right? Then they're like,
where did the 25 pounds come from?
Exactly. So that's a big thing. Never avoid the scale at all costs, because that's the one thing that will keep you, at least, even if it's acutely, even for that day, in check, right? Behaviorally, right? I got to watch it today a little bit, right? And it may even enable you or encourage you to say, you know what, I'm going to get out and exercise a little bit today. Or today I'm going to be a little bit better day on my diet, right? Should not be used as a punishment to punish people for making the wrong decisions. That's what people tend to do, is they view the scale as a punishing thing, and then therefore they avoid the scale because they don't want to be punished, right? But that's not the intent, right? The intent is to give them information so that way that day they can move forward and make positive decisions. That's the intent behind the scale. Excuse me, that's the intent behind the scale.
Yeah, and that makes sense. It's just, like I said, it's like I'm tired. It's like I finally saw 250 something, and I was like, thank you. And then it's like 260.
Well, let's see where you're at today.
This morning I was 260.2 at home.
Oops. 261.6.
261.6. So it's down then, because it was 262 last time, right?
Yeah. Well, you're 262 and a half.
Okay.
Lost a pound.
I was hoping to have it more. I was trying hard. I even went on yesterday. I didn't feel like going anywhere, but I managed to go on some walks, short walks, but at least I went out. I had one day where I went on such a long walk that I had to stop because Susie said I had enough. Which is usually a weird thing. She's usually ready to go more than me.
Well, you lost 5.5, well, close to 6 pounds in a month. A little bit less than we want.
It's more than I thought. I don't feel like a complete loss then.
Yeah, you should be losing more. And we know in Olston, when we go back to Memorial Weekend.
Yeah, it was when that fence crashed. We had the fence that got crashed into. Then
But you went from 266 to 262, 262 and a half, found that back down to 262. Now you're down to 261.6.
And then we had my dad Father's Day come up.
Yep.
And that was a big, well, that's when I gained 5 pounds and I had quite a time trying to get it off again. And I was like, okay, now let's move forward. And I was really trying hard. And then I got sick. And why when you're sick? This is what I don't get. And I've noticed is when I get sick and I'm in the bathroom a dozen times, and I'll notice a weight gain. Explain that one to me.
Is it diarrhea or vomiting?
Diarrhea. Yesterday I felt like vomiting, but I never got around to it. Really felt sick. I finally took some tea and that finally settled it down. But
it's hard to know. I mean, it could be inflammation, acute inflammation. And when people get ill, and most people are going to lose weight because it's dehydration.
Right.
That's why people lose weight, such a dramatic amount of weight. But
of course, I do drink a lot of water, and maybe that's the reason why I didn't. Okay. I was just curious because I've noticed that.
So let's talk about, you got all these peripheral events. This is always part of life.
Right.
right, are always going to have curveballs thrown at you. It's how you manage those curveballs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever looked inward?
Inward.
Mm-hmm. Ever looked inward to yourself and say, am I a product of these curveballs,
Mm-hmm.
or am I just by chance highly unfortunate?
Well, I do try to be logical about it. It's like, it's not my fault that the guy hit the fence.
Right.
And I addressed it. We did end up meeting the guy. He claims he's gonna fix the fence. I'll believe it when I see it. Type of thing. I can't the fact that my dad died, there's nothing I can do about that,
Mm.
Outside that, it's just one of those, I use logic over a lot of stuff. It's like, if I start to get emotional, I start using logic, and it's like, okay, logically, what's happening here, what's going on, how's it affecting me? Yes, it's gonna be an emotional thing, let's just cry, get it over with, and then move on. That kind of thing. Couple days ago, my family threw another curveball at me. I was like, oh well, we'll see how that one works out. My cousin, with this trip, I was supposed to be in charge of the fruits and salads and stuff like that, and my cousin decided that she's not going to do what she was assigned to because my sister is making life difficult. And so my cousin's going to buy trays of fruit and vegetables, which kind of took away what I was supposed to do. And she says, that's all I'm going to do because Val's being so complicated about how to get the food issue under control. So I told him, I says, I'm just going to worry about me and leave it at that, and make sure that I at least eat what I'm supposed to be eating. And like if I'm going to make me a salad, I'll make a very big one and share it with everybody. If I'm going to make chicken, I will make a bunch of it and share it with everyone. So that way I'm at least sharing what I'm making,
right.
But not worry about what they're going to do, because I know that if I try to follow along with what the plan is, I'm only going to make myself crazy, because I'm trying to follow someone who's not quite that right. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's one of those, usually like the emotional stuff that might happen, I'll more than likely separate myself from the situation, before I let it get too far out of hand, that kind of thing.
Well, if you go back, what are you doing differently that you were doing back in April? You already brought up one of those things.
What's that?
Exercise.
Oh yeah, June I didn't do any. I didn't realize I hadn't done any exercise at all. It was, if you want to call working around the house and trying to clean up the yard,
right.
Exercising, but I might have gone for some walks, but that's about it. I didn't go to the gym and do a proper workout. And once I realized that was going on, we started to get back on schedule of going back to the gym. So we're only 1 week into that, so last week was the only time I've gone.
Right.
And done that. So we have agreed that we will go back, and whatever happens with the yard happens with the yard. And try to, and he's agreed to help me at least 1 day out of the week, to put a couple hours in and try to get as much as we can during that time and see what we can get accomplished. And as Michael's available, see if he can help me with the heavier stuff, because he's the muscle guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I talked to Gabby, and she says she'd help me out, as she's available. So I'm starting to get more help in working on the project.
Sure.
That's about it. So.
Well, there's, the 50-pound mark seems to be the mark where people either continue to lose or they just level out. And leveling out, that's why we remeasure your metabolism, right? Because your metabolism is really indicative to let us know, okay, yeah, it's going to get harder, it's going to get harder, and that's why we got to focus more on exercise. Or is it more or less the aspect of the leveling out is because how much change has occurred, right? And then what we tend to see is a little bit of, I don't want to say, I want to really call it complacency, but acceptance that you like how much you've lost, right? So you're less rigid with the other factors in life. Compound that with the other stressful factors that are going on in your life. It's you're trying to be you're making good decisions on the diet, right? But the portions are bigger than what they were when you were on the diet, right? That's what we tend to see happen. That's why people level out, right? It's, for some reason, the 50-pound mark is either physiological or it's a psychological, right? And in my opinion, because we measured you with your, from the metabolism, we know that you're able to lose, right? So it's a lot more psychological that's impeding your ability to lose weight, predominantly because of all the stressors that are going on.
And I was asking Steve, I says, I wonder if the 260 mark was another issue, is all these years I get down to 260 and I literally gain it all back plus, and I get down to 260 and I gain it all back plus, and I'm.
But you said something. You haven't been this weight for years.
I have 250s in the 250s. I've gotten down to 260s, but not the 250s.
Because remember you saying this is the lowest weight you've been since Michael was born.
Yeah, that was last week when I was in the 250s at home.
Okay.
Okay, on my scale at home, I was 258.
Because I remember you saying the 300s, you get out of the 300s and then you gain it all back.
No, 300s was the last couple of years. You know, it was when I got hit by that car in 59 or 09, and it was like a year or two after that I started getting the 300s and I couldn't get out of the 300s. So that was 2 years. But before that, since Michael was, since I had Michael, I got down to 260 and then I get back up and I go down to 260. So getting into the 250s, which was last week, that I hadn't seen the 250s since before Michael was, since that point. And so, but up until that, then I was constantly getting down to 260 and then I bounce up and gain everything back and then some. And I get down to 260, gain everything back. And so I'm wondering if there's something going on with the 260.
Psychologically, yeah. I think there's probably some little bit of fear. Am I going to gain it back? I'm not losing. Am I going to get it back? So it's a little bit of self-limiting.
Yeah, and every time I get on the scale, it's like I want to see a 2.5. Even this morning, it's like I should see a 2.5 because I've been to the bathroom 15 times yesterday.
But that's acute.
Yeah.
Right? That's acute weight loss because of dehydration. So, albeit you're looking at, oh yeah, I'm down to 250, but that's not the behavioral process to get to weight loss.
Yeah.
Right? That's more inflicted from a physiological illness.
Yeah, but I wasn't 250 this morning.
Right.
I was 260. So it was like I kept thinking I should have.
What are you afraid of?
Weight-wise or everything else? Weight-wise is just like I just want to get out of the 260s. I just want to get below it, and I have to remind myself to eat because I want to not eat. Does that make sense? So I'm trying because I know that if you don't eat like you're supposed to, you'll gain weight too. And so I'm like, okay, have the shakes. I'm here. It is an hour past my bedtime trying to choke down that last shake. That kind of.
And you're doing 1 scoop?
I had the 2 scoops last night. Because I was trying to keep the 2 scoops and everything else, and I hadn't really eaten much all day. I forced down a piece of chicken and. Well, I should have some vegetables, so I tore up the last of the head of lettuce that I had. It was just one of those I just did not want to eat, and I was shoving food in me no matter what. you know, and I just did not want to eat it, you know, type of thing. And so my frustration is just I just want to get below that, and I'm wondering. I'm honest, frustrated. It's like, when's this going to go down there and stay down there instead of go down there and bounce back up, go down there and bounce back up. And I'm honestly afraid of gaining everything back like I always do every time I get down to the 260. So I'm doing everything I can to not let that happen. Does that make sense?
Yep. So here's the worst case scenario if you stop treatment. You'll probably gain 10 pounds back in the first month. Right? And that's going to be all water weight. There's no way you can put on 10 pounds of fat unless you're making multiple choices to go and eat fast food, high fatty, Western style diet every day, 2 to 3 times a day. That's the only way you gain 10 pounds of fat. Right? The reason why people gain 10 pounds is because of water retention and constipation. More fecal production, which means more fecal matter, which means sometimes non-excretion, so that you have compaction. In addition to that, water retention from eating more processed foods. That's why people gain back rapidly in the first month.
Because they're eating all the wrong foods.
Yeah, they're eating more foods and they're eating just higher processed things that got salt and you're just not processing it.
Yeah.
Right? And so that tends to happen.
Yeah.
So it's not so much people gain 10 pounds of fat and all of a sudden it's like, well, see, this is what happens every time. It's because of the acute weight gain from changing the diet.
Yeah.
Right? Changing the way you're eating and what you're eating.
Yeah.
It's not so much because this program is magically designed to help people lose weight, and then if you go off of it, then you gain it all back. No, it's the type of foods people tend to eat. We have people eating higher protein, higher fiber, lower salt, lower cholesterol food.
You jacked yourself up. In other words, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I have no intention of doing that. I've been trying really, really, really hard.
So why not focus on what you can control versus focus on the things that you cannot control?
Well, I can control what I eat. That's what I've been trying to keep on my eye on.
And you can control if you decide to go and walk.
Yeah. And even yesterday, like I said, I felt like crap yesterday, but I still went.
Yep.
I went short walks, but I
Yep.
went. I was to be honest, I was totally surprised I even hit the 10,000 mark on my steps. I was like, how did that happen?
But I don't want you doing this, and I'm not saying that you are, and I'm not accusing you, but what I don't want you to do is logging to self-fulfill your own belief. If you understand what I mean.
I don't think you do.
Huh?
I don't think you understand what he just said.
I honestly don't understand.
I'm going to log my foods, and I'm only going to log to what I believe I consumed.
Oh. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, so...
like you said, you went back and logged, and I was still under.
Oh, you mean like on last Wednesday?
You're logging.
I knew I had that salad. I knew I had the popcorn and the pie, but I also know that I looked at what the calories were before I ate them. So.
But it's more dependent upon portions. Misjudging of portions. That's the big fallacy.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, don't log to log, right? To be within a range because you want to be in that range, right? Log honestly, even if you're over the range, right? Because that does nothing but stroke your own ego to say, see, I'm logging and I'm meeting my calories, but I'm not losing, right? But in all actuality, you should be logging all portions, all things, because that's the only way it'll give you good feedback to know that I'm over consuming.
Yeah.
Right? That is one of the things we see issues with logging. It's the self-fulfilling prophecy that I'm doing all the right things, but in reality, you are not doing all the right things. You're overeating.
Yeah, instead of saying I had 4 ounces of chicken, you actually had 6 or 7. You know. Yeah. Yeah, I know that one. It's like
because we do know that people tend to underreport 50% of the time. 50%. So if someone tells me, well, I'm only consuming 1,200, you're probably consuming 18. Yeah. If you're not losing, then that's the likely scenario. Either because of misjudging portions or not calculating all the things, or people decide not to log, so therefore it doesn't count.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Yeah.
I hate to tell you that, even when I'm making my fruit.
You made a comment when I said that. You looked at her and you were kind of direct when I brought that up.
Yeah, isn't the way she always is logging everything. But when you made that comment, I saw in her face
I did not understand what
that she didn't understand what you
But
were
you
saying.
understood it.
I know what you were saying.
Do you see her doing that?
I don't.
You don't have to tell on her. You're not telling
Be
on her.
honest.
It's not like for honesty.
No, the thing is, I don't see what she logs in. She does it and goes into her room and in the office, and she logs in there. I don't see what she logs in there, but I knew when you said that, I saw the look on her face, and she doesn't know what he's saying.
Okay.
But like I said, I don't see what she logs in.
But do you see what she's eating?
Yeah, I see what she's eating and everything.
Do you see?
You see me pull out the measuring cup when I'm making my.
Yeah, when you're doing things, I've watched her. I've watched her, set up her, her stuff to have.
Okay.
And I have heard her say, "Why am I not? I'm not hungry, but I need to. I'm not hungry." And it's one of those things. I've always been, granted, I need to get back and really start, because I have put back on a little bit. I'm back up to about 200. But no, it's one of those. I know that she is trying hard.
Yeah.
And I hear it all the time. So I'm not. I'll ask her when I come home from work usually. Okay, have you been on the scale yet? I'll ask her, have you weighed yourself? And she'll go, oh, well, I won't. I'm up a pound, or I'm up 2 ounces. She'll.
I show you the numbers too.
Sometimes you do, not all the time, but most of the time she shows me. She'll take the picture of it, and when she's really proud of it, she shows me.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, she'll show me. But then when she said, "Oh, I gained this 2 pounds or whatever, type thing," that's about how she. I can't understand, it's that type of thing.
Yeah, but you see me weigh. You've seen my scale that I actually weigh this stuff.
Yeah.
Too.
I watch you when I'm awake enough to
pay attention.
And I do agree with with him on some of that. There are this whole. I think one of the biggest stressors may be finished up at the end of this month.
Oh,
with
with
sister.
Yeah.
With that trip to
Get out of South Dakota, I'll be happy.
I think this is talking about the stressors. I'm seeing this and I'm hearing about what she's been saying here. She puts on that she's putting it this way, but yet I know she's still stressing about and wants to help everybody, eat right and things like that. But she's stressing about this trip out there, big time. And I know you are. And don't say you're not, because I know you are. And I do love you. And I won't be honest.
Mm.
And like I said, that's what I'm thinking. And she's not to a bigger point. This one going out to Anaheim is, I think, a little bit of a stress too to her. Not as per se that way, but it's a new environment for her. Now, part of it, am I going to be okay with it? That's the stress I see a little bit coming out with this also. Am I going to be able to deal with these people? Are they going to accept me? I see that too, and that to me is a stressor also. And even though she may not think that, but it is. I say that.
Yeah, the California trip is a business trip, and it's getting me into a new line of work, and that's where my nervousness is.
Sure. So all of what he was just saying, are you upset with what he was saying?
No, he's truthful. My family does tend to stress me out, and one of my concerns with going to this family thing is the menu that my sister had come up with is mostly food that can't even have.
Well, you have a choice to eat it or not to eat it.
Well, yeah, that's true.
And you have a choice to take your own food. If you know the menu, you have a choice to alter your menu.
Right.
Right?
Right. And I know that I will be in a position where I have to make my own food.
Yeah.
And
you can be tactful. You can just say, hey, thanks. I'm choosing to alter mine to a specific way. That way I'm going to still have my ability to try to lose weight. I don't want to come up here and gain. That's not my intention.
Mm-hmm.
I need to continue to lose even when I'm traveling, and I've got to make changes in my diet to alter it the way I need to have it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys don't have to do it. I just need to do it for me.
Yeah.
I'm not asking you to eat like me. I'm not asking you to eat what I'm fixing. But what I'm asking you to do is leave the ingredients or let me make my own. Or if you're deciding to make it for everybody, then can you make a sub dish that is made to that?
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's no different if someone came into my house, right, and said, well, I don't eat meat.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Well, then I'm going to create a dish that's going to be meatless for them.
Right.
Right? Or if they're gluten. They have gluten sensitivities, right? Well, I'll make a dish for everybody else, and I'll make it, where it's got gluten sensitivity for this person.
Right.
Right? The intent is if it's the invitation, and if they're being inviting to make it for everybody, then they need to take into consideration if there's any sensitivities or intolerances or allergies or special requests, then they need to make it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's one thing not to know. It's the other thing to be ignorant and choose not to do anything about it.
Right.
Right? And that's not being respectful. That's marginalizing what you're needing and what you're wanting.
Right.
So at the same time, you can put the boundary there, right? And say that, well, I would really like this if you're going to make it. And if she says, well, I'm not going to make it that way. Okay, then I guess I'm going to create my own food.
Right.
That's your boundary.
Right.
But you can be tactful and you can be polite and you can say, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And if it offends you because I don't want to eat what you're cooking, then I'm sorry. That's not my problem that your feelings are hurt.
That's it.
No.
That's it. What? I'm bad about that?
Yes, you are. But I'm Val is worse than you are on that aspect. Because if you you touched on something that I've seen between the two girls. It is a little bit of try-upmanship, if you put it that way. Her being the oldest and Val the next one down. But Val, it seems like she always wants to outdo anybody else that is around. And I've heard you tell me that Val's not really said much about you with your weight loss, or she really hasn't said much, period. But she knows that you're doing it. But Val won't accept some of it. We're going to have this. And that's the way, if you don't want it, don't eat. Is what more or less is what, at Val's house, if you don't want what she's cooking, you don't eat. That's what I found out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then that brings up, where you alternate. Val won't understand some of the making an alteration.
Sure. Well, and you can guide her, or you can say, I will help make it, and I'll just make my own.
Yeah.
Separately.
Yeah, that's the reason why I thought, well, if whatever I make myself, I'll just make a larger portion. Larger amount, and then just share it with whoever wants it.
You can choose to do that, but then you're forcing your decision upon everybody else who may not want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I think the idea is you can make it, especially if she's going to, because then what you're doing is you're competing against her because she's making it for everybody. Now you're making a lot of it, so that way it's a choice. They want to eat healthy or they don't want to eat healthy. And if one chooses the other one's going to feel hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they chose hers over mine. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
I would just focus only on you. That's it.
Okay.
Or me also.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did tell him I came across a recipe I thought I might make. Totally bad, totally naughty. But it's like the first night we're there just for the heck of it.
Yeah.
For everybody, not just for me type of thing. And
Why would you do that?
Because I wanna have a good time. I wanna have fun
But
with
is it-
everybody.
Right.
It's
But-
a bad food.
Right, but here's my thought, right?
Uh-huh.
You're going to, it's the atmosphere that you're in, not the food that creates the good time.
Well, yeah, I know. I realize that. It's just one of those, what the heck, why not?
Is it
Have
worth
a
it?
fun- I think it would be.
It's
just
worth it to
fun.
have that?
I think
It's worth it to not lose weight? It's worth it to gain a few pounds of constipation or sodium and then struggle to get the 2 pounds off? Is that, so I just wanna make sure the balance, because that's what I just heard.
No.
It's worth it, but the scale to move is not worth it.
I
So
didn't
now
say
you're-
how much I was gonna eat, I'm gonna have a little piece like that big.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that I think everybody would have fun with it, because
Okay.
it's one of those off the wall, you know, and they're all this thin anyway.
Right.
You know, the whole family's like that thin, with the exception of others. But I just thought it would be fun to make it, and I know the kids would get a kick out of it, type of thing. And I figured, you know, if I have some, it's gonna be a very, very small piece, because it's outrageous in calories.
Okay.
But that, I told them, I said that would be like the kickoff for fun for the weekend, and of course after that I'd have to be good. But and I kick off the vacation, kick off the you know, everything. So that was the only naughty thing I was planning to have for the whole vacation, and then the rest of it is it's pretty much planned out. I already got my recipe books and stuff like that set up as to what I'm gonna have when and that kind of thing. And like I said, I'm not planning to compete with my sister or anything like that. I just know that Kathy was real frustrated, and she wants to be part of it, but she's being overwhelmed. You know, I mean, and I can understand her concept. It's like, okay, I'm a mother of three, you know, I got 3 people in my family, and all of a sudden I'm expected to cook for 20 people, type of thing, and it's all foods that we don't want to eat, and, you know, and of course my brother's like, I want to go fishing first thing in the morning, so he wants something he can grab, pop in the microwave, and then take off.
Right.
And I told her, well, why don't you get that for him?
Well, he can choose to eat what's being fixed or not. He can choose to take his own things or not. So I think the whole issue of people being offended is because they put work behind making something, and then they're offended if they choose not to eat it.
Right.
Right? And so, yes, it's a little bit of offensive to say, well, I don't want to eat, I'm just going to go fish.
Then go fish, have a good time.
Then go fish. I don't know what you're going to eat, this is what we made, right? Unless you've got something else in mind you're going to make, but this is what I'm making. Right? So it's a balance of being polite, being tactful, and so forth, but also establishing a boundary and communicating that boundary in advance, so that way you're not catching people off guard with, well, I can't eat that now.
Yeah.
Well, I can't eat that now. Well, why not? Well, because it's got a lot, well, why wouldn't you communicate it to me? Maybe that's our stuff.
Cross your fingers.
Is the
presents.
air conditioner on?
I don't know.
It is burning up in my office.
Yeah, it was broken yesterday. I don't know
It
if
was?
it was here, but
Okay. Yeah, you would do, maybe somebody call them.
Yeah,
It's hot in here.
yeah.
Okay.
I'll check on that.
All right.
Is this the side that gets the hot sun?
It is, but last week I was freezing in here, now it's overly hot. All right, so let's see if we got it. Be good if we did. Oh, that's this up backward for 2 weeks. Must be this one. Aha. I got one of the other things that's backward. Everybody wants the same stuff. Alright. There it is.
Yay.
Awesome. I was worried it wasn't going to come in today. Alright, so at least you have that.
Yep.
So, what I want you to focus on this week, Sandra, is, do you guys mind if I leave that door open? Because
Sure,
it's cooling
go ahead.
down with just that door open a little bit. What I want you to focus on this week is what you can control, not what you can't control, and not how you're going to affect somebody's feelings. Obviously, what I'm not saying is to be a jerk. I'm not saying, you know, I want you to place boundaries and be tactful and request what you're wanting, right? But it's ultimately your decision to eat a certain way, not theirs.
Right.
Right? And I think if you come to peace with that and not feel so angst about the drama that could be created, again, it's not your responsibility to worry about her feelings.
Right.
It's not your responsibility to worry about how she's going to react. Right? It's more about being responsible and to politely and tactfully communicate what you need for your health to be successful.
Right.
Right? And if they're not willing to be cooperative, then you have that choice to make your own dishes.
Right.
And be okay with that.
Yeah. And it hasn't bothered me.
Right.
Yet, you know, it's like, you know, I even, when we go to the movie theater, I bring my own
right.
goodies.
And it's the same way with them. Right? And if they become offended because you're choosing not to eat what was made for them, but you communicated that well in advance.
Yeah. Yeah, and matter of fact, I was real surprised. My brother-in-law has been asking me when I've been going to lose weight, type of thing. He's like, you know, you look like you've been feeling better. And I was like, I feel a whole lot better. And I don't feel anxious or nervous or shaky or anything like that. I have moments where it's like, I want, you know, like the other day I saw Gabby and I was like, and she's like, what? I want to chew. You know, it's like my stomach is so full, I want to throw up, but I feel like I need to chew, and I don't understand what that was, and it was just driving me crazy until I found, you know, some celery or something to just munch on.
Sure.
But it was just weird to feel so full and feel like I need to chew on something for some stupid reason. I don't even understand that one, but that was kind of what was going on with me.
So give me two things that you're going to work on this week to get back to what you were doing that's going to help your process to lose weight. Two things.
Okay. One thing is that we're definitely going back to the gym and get that back in track, you know, type of thing.
How many days?
Well, we were going 2 days a week, so we're going to go back to that.
All right, so minimum of 2 days a week back to the exercise. Give me a second thing.
Of course, my steps are up to 10,000 for this month, and
so I want you to focus on, you got one with exercise, and I want you to focus on one with diet.
I've started lately is I plan out my food and I post it, log it before I eat it, so that way I know what I'm going to have.
Okay.
As
long as you don't alter it.
No, it's like a pre-plan, and if I do end up making a change, you know how it is. It's like, well, I plan to have this for my dinner meal, and then we end up having something different. And I have to go back and change.
Right, and that's. There's a little bit of give and take with that, so I'd rather people log after they eat.
Yeah.
Right? Versus pre-log. Because it can change.
Yeah.
People forget sometimes to go back and change it. The second thing I think that you should focus on is change when your one meal is occurring.
I've been having, this month I decided to have the meal first.
In the morning.
In the morning, then my fruit, and then have the 2 shakes in the bar after.
Okay.
I'm wondering if that might help things process through better.
You can try it. See how it goes.
You know, because where before I had it more spread out in the shakes earlier in the day, and I thought maybe if I had them first thing in the morning, then maybe that might change. You know, have the solid stuff first.
Okay.
And then have the liquids later. That maybe that might help process things better.
Try it. So what does your schedule look on Tuesday or Thursday? When you guys done with court?
Yeah, we're all done with court.
All right. So how about let's go back to Wednesday.
Okay.
I can do a 10:45, or I can do a 9:15.
How about 9:15?
All right. And we are literally out of supplies except for bars. We're getting some more shakes in, I think, tomorrow.
think
But we
it's
just
so
put the
good.
order in for some strawberry and vanilla, but we'll get peach and chocolate on, I think, tomorrow, Thursday.
Well, I just got my supplies last week, so.
Okay, you're good, okay.
For another week
Good.
anyway.